All right, here we go. The Bill of Rights. One of the most important parts of our Constitution, the part that guarantees your rights as a U.S. citizen or guarantees rights of people in the United States, even when they are not citizens in some cases. So here we go. I color-coded each of these first 10 amendments to break down what all the different pieces are, and hopefully explain it in simpler terms rather than the lingo that was used 200 years ago. So, Bill of Rights, First Amendment, number 1. Congress shall make no law respecting an establishment of religion or prohibiting the free exercise thereof. Congress, there can be no laws against any religious groups or any laws that violate somebody's religious or non-religious beliefs. There should be no law abridging freedom of speech. You cannot stop people from saying what they want to say. You have the freedom of speech, though some people don't realize that with the freedom of speech also comes with the receiving the consequences of that speech, knowing that not everybody is going to agree with you, or if your speech is disrespectful, there may be consequences for that speech. You have the freedom to say it. You also have the freedom to accept the consequences of it. Or the press. So they cannot stop the presses. The press has a right to publish. The right of the people peaceably to assemble. So if people want to have a protest, they can do so as long as they are doing it peacefully and they are not causing a disruption. If they are being disruptive and they are, inhibiting other people's rights, then, or they are getting violent, then they lose their right to peaceably assemble. And to petition the government for a redress of grievances. If you have an issue, you can petition the government. That means you can call your senators, write your senators, representatives, email them, which they all have websites. Go to their website and there's a form there that you can just fill out and send them an email. And most of them will send you a form response back. So you have the right to tell them that you're upset about something in the government and what it is. You have all of those rights. Amendment 2, the right to bear arms. Watch the wording on this, though. This is where I think, I don't know. I think this one sometimes people get very passionate about this one. A well-regulated militia being necessary to the security of a free state, the right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. So, the right of the people to keep and bear, if you reverse the sentence around, it's the right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed because it is necessary to the security of a free state to have a well-regulated militia. That's what it is saying. The Third Amendment. No soldier shall in time of peace be quartered in any home. Well, this goes all the way back to the French and Indian War now. And no, we're not up to Indian now. Without the consent of the owner. So soldiers cannot come into your house without their consent during times of peace. No quartering of soldiers, nor in time of war, but in a manner to be prescribed by law. So they cannot quarter soldiers in your house unless there is a definite plan for how long they will be there, why they are there, approved by Congress. And the odds of that happening are pretty slim unless there are extreme circumstances. Fourth Amendment. The right of the people to be secure in their persons, houses, papers, and effects against unreasonable searches and seizures shall not be violated. So this goes back to that revolutionary period where you had people coming into people's houses. Those it wasn't the tax collectors, but the whatchamacallit dudes were coming in, and they were able to search the house anytime they wanted, search your business anytime you wanted. They can confiscate goods whenever they wanted. So this is going all the way back to the revolution, where this comes from. They wanted to protect their rights. They want to be safe in their homes and not feel like they're just going to be raided at any time and have people taking advantage of them by being in a position of power. Also, same one, no warrants shall issue but upon probable cause. So first off, no unreasonable searches and seizures. You need to have probable cause. And you will not get a warrant unless there is probable cause to search a home, supported by oath or affirmation. Oath is capitalized, so that means like a judge's oath. You need a judge's permission to search the home. A justice has to prove that there is probable cause. And on top of that, they have to document exactly where they are searching, who's going to be searched, what they are looking for, what will potentially be seized. So all of that has to happen on a warrant, like who you're searching, where you're searching, what you're searching for, why there's probable cause. A judge needs to sign it and approve it before they are allowed to search your house. So you do not have to let anybody in your house, property, anywhere unless they have a warrant. Number 5, no person, Fifth Amendment. Fifth Amendment is quoted a lot. No person shall be held to answer for a capital or otherwise infamous crime unless on a presentment or indictment of a grand jury. So if there's a big capital offense, you have the right to a jury. Except in cases for land, naval forces, militia, in service in times of war, public danger. Like if you're in the military, that's something totally different. But everybody is guaranteed a right to a jury here. Nor shall any person be subject for the same offense to be twice put in jeopardy of life or limb. That means you cannot be tried twice for the same crime. If you are found, innocent in a court of law, the prosecutor can't go to another judge in another county and have a whole new jury and retry you again for that same thing. No, it's over. Case settled, done. It's over. That's it. They cannot make you go through the exact same court case over again unless there is new evidence against you. Nor shall be compelled in any criminal case to be witness against himself. And this also goes for family members, spouses, where this is where you'll see in movies, I plead the fifth. I take the fifth. Or a lot of times it might look like somebody's guilty because they're pleading the fifth. But basically, it's saying you do not have to be a witness against yourself. If you are put on the witness stand and they ask you a question and you feel like your answer could make you look guilty, even though you are not guilty, or like it could be twisted to make it seem like you are guilty, you do not have to answer the question. And that goes to the same thing. If you're married, you do not have to be a witness against your spouse at all. Parents, family, that goes with that. So when somebody says, I plead the fifth, that means they do not want to answer the question, so that it does not do any harm in the case against somebody. The green line, nor be deprived of life, liberty, or property without due process of law. Meaning they can't, just jump ahead or, put you straight to trial. There has to be a process. They have to go through and make sure they're following all the laws, and make sure that you are aware of your rights as citizens before they put you in jail. Okay? Or take away your belongings. They have to inform you, and it has to follow the processes already set in place. Nor shall private property be taken for public use without just compensation. Here's another one we see in TV shows a lot, where you got the car chase and the police officer is chasing somebody, and then they flash a badge and they're like, I need your car, I need your motorcycle, I need your bike, I need your lawnmower, whatever it is that they're riding on. And they're like, I need to take your vehicle. And they flash their badge, and people get out of the car and they take the person's car, and sometimes forcefully, which is not realistic. But sometimes it is realistic. They take the car, and then they pursue the car chase, and then they go after the vehicle, and then you get cars flipping in the air, and all kinds of stunts and stuff. Well, if that happens, if any officer or anyone, government official, is taking your private property for use, no matter what it is, skateboard, bicycle, whatever, you deserve just compensation. If they do not return it to you in the same condition they took it, then they need to pay you for it. Maybe they're just paying you back gas. Maybe they're paying you back for, fixing the whatever that broke on it, a tail light that got hit or something. Either way, the government, if they take your possessions, they are required to compensate you and pay you back for them fairly. Sixth Amendment. In all criminal prosecutions, so somebody is on a criminal trial, the accused shall enjoy the right to a speedy and public trial. So you can't just put it on hold for years and years and years and years and years. You can't just let them sit there and wait. And they have the right to a speedy trial. By an impartial jury of the state and district wherein the crime shall have been committed. And this is where people are called for jury duty once you are an adult. It'll probably happen about, I don't know, some people are never called, some people are called more often. I'd probably say once every 10 years I've been called, where you may be on a trial, you may not be on a trial. They ask you a bunch of questions, they interview you, and they try to see if you will be an impartial witness for both sides. And then you may be chosen to be on a jury. And they may just say you're dismissed, and you don't have to be. But the attorneys are looking for an impartial jury of peers. So an impartial jury for where the crime took place to determine whether or not this accused person, is deemed guilty. Because remember, we have innocent till proven guilty in this country. And the district shall have been previously ascertained by law. So that all has to be, it's usually where the crime took place. The person accused has to be informed of the nature and the cause of the accusation, why they are being arrested. They have the right to be confronted with witnesses against them. Who is accusing them of what and why? To have compulsory process for obtaining witnesses in his favor. So if you are arrested, you have the right to find witnesses to help your case. And to have the assistance of counsel for his defense. You have the right to an attorney. You have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can and will be used against you in a court of law. You have the right to an attorney. Like, these are called the Miranda rights. When you start reading them off, it's basically letting people know what their rights are as they are being arrested, so that they can make sure their constitutional rights are not violated. Amendment 7. In suits at common law, so this isn't criminal law, this is common, like neighbor versus neighbor, and they're arguing about a property line or something, where the value in controversy shall exceed $20, the right of trial by jury shall be preserved. So If somebody sells you a stereo for $50 and it does not work, like an old school boombox for $50, and it does not work, you can take them to court. You can sue them. And you have the right to have a trial by jury for it too. Now, granted, the attorney costs and everything for $50, probably wouldn't be worth it. But once you get into something like, $2,000 or $200, heck, $100, because then you could also sue for them to pay your court costs because you have to go to court. But if it's over $20, you can have a right to a trial by jury for that. And no fact tried by jury shall otherwise be reexamined in any court in the United States than according to common law. So just like up here, where nor shall any person be subject for the same offense to be put in twice in jeopardy, back in the Fifth Amendment. Subject twice in jeopardy of life and limb. Even in a civil case, you cannot be tried for the same crime twice. You can't go to a different judge. You can't go to a different county and ask to retry the case. Once the case is over, it is done. Amendment 8, excessive bail shall not be required, nor excessive fines imposed, nor cruel and unusual punishment inflicted. Basically, this is saying the punishment must fit the crime. If you stole a pack of chewing gum, you should not be fined like $7,000. That's the punishment there does not fit the crime. Ninth Amendment. The enumeration in the Constitution of certain rights shall not be construed to deny or disparage others retained by the people. The Constitution cannot take away rights that are given to the people. If it is not law, if it is a right by the people, the Constitution cannot take that right away from them. Which brings us to the 10th Amendment, which says the power is not delegated by the Constitution. It's not in constitutional law. It's not prohibited by the states. It's not in any state law. Then they are reserved. Okay, if it's not in the Constitution, then it's reserved to the states. And if it's not in state law, then it's reserved to the people. So if it's not a national law, if it is not a state law, maybe there's a county law. If it's not a county law, if it's not a city law, then it's your choice. And if it is your choice, that goes back to number 9. The Constitution cannot deny you that privilege. An example would be piercings or tattoos. There are no laws about that, which means it is your choice. And that cannot be taken away from you. There are other terms that come up sometimes, like habeas corpus, which goes into the right of a speedy trial. You can't be just thrown in jail and just sit there and turn into a corpse, for years and years and years. They have to give you a trial in order for you to, in order to follow due process. Let's see what else is in here. Pleading the fifth, probable cause. Yeah, that's basically it. Those are that's our Bill of Rights, our first 10 amendments. As you read through the other amendments, you see the ones where, it starts eliminating racism, and it starts eliminating sexism and gender bias. They add other freedoms, and as times go on, as times change. There's only been one amendment that was repealed, and if an amendment is repealed, it needs to be replaced by something else, usually. Well, not usually. If an amendment is, the only one that was repealed is the 18th Amendment, which is prohibition. That was about 100 years ago, where they had a Congress that made a law that banned the selling of alcohol throughout the country. which led to the Roaring Twenties and the illegal sale of alcohol. And then by the 1930s, the Great Depression hit, and alcohol and the sale of alcohol, the government can make money off of that. And when you're in debt during a depression, they're looking for ways to make money. So they repealed the 18th Amendment in order to, make tax money off the sale of alcohol again. So I think those are the big ones. The 25th Amendment says that if a president can no longer serve, that the vice president can take over. And then there's a whole chain, there's a whole order of, there's like this whole long chain of who takes over. If the president can't run the country, then it's the vice president. From the vice president, it goes to, because the vice president is the head of the Senate, so it goes to the head of the House. So it goes to the Speaker of the House is third in line for presidency. From the Speaker of the House, it goes back to the Senate, so the president pro tempore of the Senate. And from there, it goes to the cabinet members, president's cabinet members, starting with the Secretary of State. So there's this whole chain reaction of who's in charge. The 25th Amendment really prescribes that out. The last amendment added was in the 1990s, where it did not allow Congress to grant itself midterm pay raises anymore, because for a time they were granting themselves pay raises pretty much whenever they wanted. And those pay raises are coming from tax dollars. So, all right, there you have it. The amendments of the United States, particularly focused on the Bill of Rights. I hope this helped you understand them a little bit more. And I will talk with you soon. Thanks, everyone.